Hi, I'm Eva. Welcome to Witchy Goddess Reborn. I decided to start a series on a very deeply personal note. I'm going to share my journey into and out of the Jehovah's Witnesses organisation. So when I was just 14 years old in 1996, that was when I first met Jehovah's Witnesses and was recruited. I actually got baptised the same year, just shortly after my 15th birthday, and it changed the entire course of my life until I reclaimed my freedom in 2018. I didn't grow up in that religion, or any religion for that matter. I wasn't born into it. In fact, until I met them in 1996, I had never heard of Jehovah's Witnesses before. And obviously I was a product of Soviet Latvia, of the 80s, post-Soviet Latvia. It was actually chaos when everything opened up. It was like the floodgates opened up and everything from the West came in, everything that the communism had banned. So of course that included religious groups, religion in general. And I was a teenager, impressionable. I was quite spiritual, and honestly I was just looking for answers. That's when a school friend of mine introduced me to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and obviously the one thing that Jehovah's Witnesses use to hook people in is the offer to study and understand the Bible. Nothing else, just, oh, would you like to study the Bible? And at first it felt really comforting. It was really nice. The people were really nice and they seemingly had all the answers, and I was given the books and the magazines to guide me through the scriptures, which, for as anyone knows, if you first start, it's quite difficult to understand. And they also had that community that I longed for, and everyone was called brother and sister, this big spiritual family that talked about love, truth and paradise. And for a lonely 14-year-old girl in a chaotic, almost post-apocalyptic world, that was really intoxicating. What I didn't realise at the time was that I wasn't joining a religion, I was entering a high control system. And slowly or quickly, depending on how you view it, the indoctrination began. I was being told what I can read, how to dress, who I can associate with. I couldn't question their teachings. You get discouraged from critical thinking, which is kind of ironic because they think critically. And everything outside the organisation was labelled as worldly and dangerous. And it was the 1996. We had no computers, no internet access, especially for someone like me. So no one to tell me who the Jehovah's Witnesses are except for the Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. So one of my earliest experiences sitting in a Kingdom Hall was hearing about Armageddon, and it was so convincing. It's just around the corner. The end to poverty, hunger, wars, disease, even death. And that promise of the resurrection of the dead here on earth in flesh was extremely enticing for someone who had lost a parent aged 10. And of course I would want to see my father again, who wouldn't, and meet all my grandparents whom I had never met because they were all dead. Except to all of this there was a catch. They told me that only baptised Jehovah's Witnesses would survive the Armageddon, and everyone else, including non-Jehovah's Witness family and friends, from baby to old person, would die, or to put it mildly, destroyed in a horrible event called Armageddon. and I was 14, that kind of a fear, it sticks with you. But I didn't see it as fear at the time. I thought it was the truth. And I felt chosen. Out of all the people, Jehovah had looked into my heart and he'd drawn me into his organisation. And we were told that only the ones with the right heart attitude would become Jehovah's Witnesses. So I guess that meant I was worthy after all. You know, only Jesus and Jehovah picked those who have the right heart attitude, because the rest, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, have wicked hearts and God does not want them. So he wants to destroy them instead, like everyone. Of course, when I got baptised, I felt like I finally belonged. Well, at least for a few weeks. What I didn't understand at the time was the price I would be paying for that perceived belonging. And that was just the beginning. In my next video, I'm going to start expanding more on what life was like in the Jehovah's Witness world. Mainly I'll start from the beginning, what it was like for me as a teenage girl with these questions. Obviously it was the 90s, it was in Eastern Europe, post-Soviet era. So if you're on a journey after the high control group, or you're just curious, why don't you subscribe and stay with me? You're not alone and your story matters. So once I've shared my story, perhaps you will feel like you want to share yours as well, because it's important. Okay, I'll see you next time.